Hello everybody and welcome back. It is once again me, your favorite deputy of Movie Deputy Podcasts, bringing you the third movie in the God's Not Dead series. This one is actually called God's Not Dead, A Light in the Darkness. And it's really incredible if you think about it, because darkness, no matter how dark it is, cannot snuff out light. And I think that's a big message that's going to come across in this movie today. If you are curious about the score, I'm going to let you know what the score is, but at the same time, don't judge too much based on the score, because there's a lot of things that went into it. On the Movie Deputy scale, I did only give this movie a 4.5 out of 10. And you're like, wait a minute, 4 means watchable but forgettable. And then 5 is just a lot of flaws and stuff like that. I'm not going to go too much into that. I've got a lot of stuff that explains that on moviedeputy.com and on my Welcome to Movie Deputy podcasts. One of these times I'll sit there and go back through the review system one of these days just to kind of help people understand the scores. Like I said, this one, there's a reason that it only got that score. And then this is also rated guilty on my guilty and innocent ratings, meaning that it is safe for 13 and above. And again, I'm going to get into that here in just a second with you on why I did end up giving it the guilty rating, some of the content and everything. But before I jump in with all of that, I want to go ahead and read you the original 300 words or less review that's on moviedeputy.com. And here we go. Religion, faith, spirituality. What is it behind them? What is it behind them all that keeps people together? Is it a building? Is it a book? Or is it something more? In this third installment in the God's Not Dead series, we see Pastor Dave fighting to save his church, a church that is special to him for many reasons. When he experiences a horrific tragedy, he finds himself drifting away from faith. Losing everything is causing him to lose himself. In this crisis, he continues to fight and enlists the help of someone that has sentimental ties to this as well. The fight continues and things even get dirty, even bringing into play current issues plaguing society. All of this animosity continues until one side hits a breaking point. Sometimes it takes being broken to be able to see the light. Who will win this heated battle? Don't think the answer is as cut and dry as it may seem. Winners aren't always winners, and losers aren't always losers. This is clearly the most relatable of all of the God's Not Dead movies, but it is also very difficult to watch at times, making it hard to watch and controversial. Some of the content is not for younger viewers, but there is information that will touch many that watch it. Just come prepared that this won't be what you expect. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You decide. Now, as you can see, I try to almost get kind of deep in my reviews. As I'm going back through and reading some of the reviews, like doing this whole switch over to the podcast format, I'm realizing how philosophical a lot of my reviews sound. And that was never intentional, but I guess that's just how it's coming across. This movie really goes places where you would not expect one of the God's Not Dead movies to go to. It really touches on the whole thing with just basically this controversy to save the church. They are in a big university town, and the church is surrounded by university property. So when something happens to the church, the university wants their property back, and it kind of becomes a legal battle. And you've got the people fighting to save the church, and you've got the people on the university fighting because they want the church's land, and kind of how that all plays out. And there's a lot of really relatable quotes in this one. I'm just going to kind of work a couple of those into my review here. One of the major ones, and it still applies today. This movie came out in 2018, but one of the quotes is, "It's a sign of the times, isn't it? That everybody's yelling and nobody's listening." It's like, how true is that even today? It's like there's just nobody actually fighting the good fight, and they're everybody's fighting and nobody's listening. And then another one of the questions that this asks, and this is going to make people really uncomfortable. But I'm not afraid of making you uncomfortable. As I've said before, if you don't like what I'm saying, turn it off. And if you do, guess what? I'm going to keep coming back. But it says, how do we know that our values and beliefs are any more valid than anyone else's? Like I said, that quote right there is going to make people uncomfortable. And it addresses that in multiple ways throughout this movie. But it's really good to ask those difficult questions. And it's really good to delve deeper into a lot of the information that honestly we're afraid to ask. A lot of people are like, oh, well, you can't question that. It's just the way it is. No, it's like, it's a good thing to have questions. It's a good thing to have the difficult questions. And as basically people that are people where their church is their second home. The entire world knows what the church is against, but it's harder and harder to know what it's for. Now, again, that's one of those difficult things because a lot of people are going to say, okay, it's for God, it's for Jesus, it's for all of these other things, for all of these teachings. But is that it? Is that the extent of it? Is it not for the people? Is it not to help people? Is it not to do these other things? And at the same time, we don't need to take it to the point of there's things in this movie that are a slippery slope that have kind of led to where we are nowadays. I, for one, drive past churches here in my own town, and they have these rainbow flags and all these other flags up and all these other flags that incorporate other things in the rainbow flags, and just the whole inclusivity. And mind you, I don't have any problem with inclusivity. It's like, if people want to live their lives and do what they want to do, that's great. I'm fine with treating everybody as equals, but I will not put one group of people above another, and I will not recognize all of these mental illnesses as can't really think of a way to put it better than that, at least not without getting my show pulled. But I'm sure you know what I'm referring to on that. It's really true that without grace as our goal, we're just fighting. It's like, but what are we fighting for? Do we know? Do you know? I know I don't, not at least completely. Now you're maybe wondering, it's okay, why is she admitting that? Because none of us have the answers. A lot of people are like, just open the book, that's the answers. No, not for all of us. I mean, it's not that cut and dry. There's so much to this. Personally, I probably would have actually given this movie closer to a 7 based on my personal opinion of it. But with all of the characteristics I hate to do with Movie Deputy and everything I look at and use to score it, I couldn't. I couldn't. I think it's because that it dares to go where these other movies haven't. And I'm not trying to punish it for doing so, but it does affect the score that it gives. I mean, this movie even goes so far as to address things that in our modern day society that we know as the Mandela effects. And some people are like, okay, what does that have to do with a religious movie? I can understand that too. And I'm like, huh? It's like, okay. But how they work it in, it almost makes sense. It's just shy of, I think, achieving what they were trying to achieve with it. Now, this is also one of those movies that if you sit through it through to the end, there actually is another bonus scene in the credits. And it kind of leads into the fourth and final God's Not Dead movie. Or I don't know if it's the last one that they've made, but up to this date, it's the last one that we have. And that bonus scene in the credits is definitely one that you'll want to stick around for if you decide to watch this movie. I hope that this is maybe giving you a little bit more insight into if this is one that you want to check out or not. If so, you're welcome. And if not, I hope that you can relate with some of the other movies that we talk about on this. Again, tomorrow will be God's Not Dead, We the People. And that will be the last movie in our God's Not Dead series. And then we are actually going to jump in with some other types of movies. I've been focusing on the trafficking movies, and I'm focusing on these movies. I don't just focus on religious movies, and as you can tell, I don't give my reviews from a religious perspective, and that has lost me some listeners. But you know what? I'm fine with that because that's not how I want to review movies. I am a constitutional conservative. I have my beliefs that I follow and stay true to myself with on that, but I don't want that to be what I'm leading with my reviews. If anything, I review them more from the conservative standpoint, but it's like I don't ever want to come across as like reviewing them purely from a religious standpoint, because that's not what I want to do with Movie Deputy, and that's not who I want to be. But overall, I hope this has helped, and until tomorrow, talk to you later. Bye!